Hello, I'm Judy Mario, and I'm the host of the World of Book Reviews. Thank you for joining us tonight. We are talking with Eric Culverson, and he is the author of The Competence Myth, which is an excellent book, Why Your Technical Skills Are No Longer Enough and What You Can Do About It. And he also is one of the authors in our Life Choices book, Life Choices Putting the Pieces Together. And remember, we talked about anthologies and what an anthology is. It's made up of 26 authors who all write about the same subject. So it's short stories throughout the book, and Eric is one of the authors in here, and I believe your story in here was about change as well, was it not?
Yes.
Yeah, and that's, you called it, what did you call it? The Constant Stranger?
Yes.
I love that, The Constant Stranger, because change is one of those things that so many people don't want to do. We want things to stay just like they've been. And so when you called it The Constant Stranger, I was thinking it is constant in our lives, isn't it?
Absolutely. And in fact, for myself, as having been an entrepreneur for about roughly 20 years now, I found adapting to change to just be an absolute necessity. And I think we all understand that to a certain extent, but when you really are faced with it and you have to make a decision because things that worked in the past, perhaps organizations, perhaps different structures, different opportunities just no longer exist. So as an entrepreneur, you're constantly reinventing yourself. And that type of change is really just the beginning, because you realize that on a broader sense, everything is ultimately changing. And the people that are ultimately going to be the most successful are not the people who do something really great at one time, but those people who are able to continually adapt, to understand what's different about their customers, what's different about the marketplace, what's different about various relationships, and adapt. We can always have our principles, and we can have those things that we hold dear to, but if we're not flexible, if we're not adaptable, if we don't recognize the importance of change, then ultimately it just sweeps us away.
I guess. That reminds me, when I used to own my model agency, one of the ladies that worked for me came in and said that we needed to get rid of our typewriters and get this new thing called a computer. And I remember at the time thinking, she must be crazy. That computer thing is just a fad. And, you know, this typewriter is going to be needed forever. And I actually had big fights with her about it until finally one of the other employees convinced me to go out and buy a computer, and it was big. It wasn't like the ones we use today, and I had to actually hire somebody to come in and program the whole thing, and so we did get computerized early on, but I remember thinking, why are we doing this, you know? And it took me such a long time to think, okay, well, maybe I could do forms on it. Well, maybe I could process envelopes. Maybe I could, you know, until it became my whole life. You know, today, my computer's in my phone. I wouldn't know what to do without it.
Yeah, I mean, we look at technology, and we know that technology is always changing, but it's not just the technology that changes, it's our society and the way we actually interact, the things that we do, the way
and
that
our lifestyle
changes.
Exactly.
You know? So what we consider to be normal now, and things that we really couldn't do without, things that didn't even exist a mere 15 years ago.
Exactly. I was thinking about it the other day. We were talking about college debt that kids have today, how much college debt they have to have, and what you can do about it. And it was thinking too, oh my goodness, they used a lot of credit cards. Well, when I was going to college, we didn't even have credit cards. And so, you know, it just amazes me how the world has changed. And we have to adapt, and our lives change because of it.
Right.
Because of it. And some of us still say, oh, it was so much better back when.
Right. And I think that's the challenge for all of us, is finding that balance between where we need to change and where we need to embrace something that is different. And even if we don't embrace it, accept it.
Yes.
And then build upon that.
Right.
My favorite saying is that in the midst of great change, there's also opportunity. There's always opportunity there.
In the midst of great change, there's always opportunity. That's good. That's really good, isn't it? Opportunity for...
Actually, for anything and everything. But the reason that a lot of people miss out on that opportunity is that when the change starts to affect them, the most natural human reaction is to try to hold on, to actually try to deflect the change. And my point is that if we recognize early on that, okay, change is inevitable, therefore, what's different now, and how does it affect me, and what can I do that better positions me to really leverage this change, to take advantage of it, to ride this as a wave to a completely new era of success, achievement, and engagement for myself.
Which makes me wonder about that, because when we talk about riding the change or getting ahead of the change, that kind of brings up the fact that we have to set goals, doesn't it? We have to have goal setting. And I know so many people that tell me they don't set goals.
One of the reasons that they don't set goals is because they're also not doing the homework that needs to be done. The only way for anyone to really effectively stay on top of change is to actually get out of your own space, enough to at least be aware, use journals, use online resources, use the internet, get as much information as you possibly can about the things that affect your area of business or your sector of the marketplace, because those changes are going to ultimately affect you in one way or another. So you have an opportunity and you have a choice. You can either be as aware as possible, and as part of that, start setting those goals. And one of those goals begins with just being as educated as you possibly can.
Right, because whether you're educated through school or whether you continue by reading books, which is what this show is all about, is to read as many books as you can in your life. It's called lifelong learning, and it's something that today we have to be very aware of, is that because of change, we have to be learning something new almost every day.
Correct. The idea that you come into the workforce, you get a particular job, and you stay with that particular company and perhaps a role similar to what you had coming in many years later, that's not the way the economy works today.
No, it's sure not.
So that necessity for lifelong learning is already sort of built in. And once again, the people that are going to be the most successful, and success is not really just about money. It's about being happy and being content and being connected to the people in our lives, but ultimately doing the things that we want to do, the things that bring value and enjoyment to us.
And a lot of things cause our lives to change, even when we don't want it to, such as illness, or maybe we lose money or something along that line. So we do have to learn to cope with those changes. And that's why I recommend that you not only read the Life Choices book with a short story about change that Eric has written for you, but also his book, The Competence Myth, because this is an excellent book on change and on leadership and on communication skills and on creativity. So facing this change is very important. Thank you, Eric, for being with us tonight. You've been a great guest. We've certainly enjoyed having you here and learned a lot. And they can get your book on Amazon?
Yes, on Amazon, or you can always reach me at eric@technically-speaking.com.
Thank you for joining us tonight. Good night.